Hey, what's going on, people? It's Jameel, and I want to go a little bit more over like my stories and stuff and my experiences. Okay, so like I was telling people, I went through a situation where I did a lot of conspiracy research. Most of my conspiracy research started at an extremely young age. I remember the first real conspiracy thing I had that I wanted to be a part of was I remember seeing the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, I loved horror movies at a young age. I saw the movie, and on videotape from Blockbuster, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Then I think in the movie, in the beginning, they depicted it like it had been a true story, and so I thought to myself, I want to figure out if it is a true story. I want to figure out what happened and who the people were, because there has to be some kind of plot, overall plot behind it, which is very funny because the fourth Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out did have some sort of connection with like the Illuminati or something, and it was saying how it was a group of people who had orchestrated it all, like allowed the other people, allowed the killers to do it and get away with it to create terror and fear and all that stuff. And so, Hollywood's very interesting when they put stuff in movies like that. But so again, going back to when I was younger, I used to think, wow, there's something to this, and I used to try to go get the books and stuff at the library and look for cases, look for real cases. And even the women at the library who were working, they were looking at me strange. They were like, "Why did the 7 or 8 year old, or how old was I? Maybe I was 9 or 10, somewhere around there, 11." They're thinking like, "Why would he be so interested in this stuff?" And so from a very young age, I was always conspiracy oriented. I always wanted to know what was real and not real and figure it out. Anyhow, the last 10 years of my life, I had been looking into the other conspiracy researchers that were out there on the internet putting stuff together. Then the last 3, 4 years of my life, the last 4 years, 2012, and on up to now, I just started saying, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and do it myself. And so I went out there and I started doing conspiracy research. Let alone, I ended up offending. Well, not necessarily. I ended up getting into it. Attracting it. I'll put it this way: I ended up attracting the attention of the most powerful people in the world. When I say powerful, I mean people who place themselves, who orchestrate authority, behind the scenes. The most powerful people in the world, basically. And because of the stuff I had learned, and because of the stuff I had expanded upon, and I realized, well, this all makes sense because these would only, they would really be the only people who truly know what I'm talking about, because they're the ones behind the structure of it. So that happened. Then I beat a life that I had a situation where it was a life-death thing. I slipped out of that, beat that. Then I went through a year of gang stalking, beat that. Only person in the world to ever beat it. But now I'm going to show you how you can get through it and you can beat it. I learned a long time ago that everything resides on vibration, on frequency. And when you get into gang stalking and you're being followed everywhere and all this stuff, you want to get grounded. Okay, you want to ground yourself. And the easiest way to do that is just go out on the corner and just stand there. And as you notice the people who are supposed to be following you are gang stalking you, no matter who they are, what they look like, start interacting with them. start smiling at them, start waving at them. Just get familiar with them. When I go out now and I'm out walking around, stuff like that, I mean, I wave at people, I interact with people. It's like a big thing to me, It's just like wow. And so, I can't stress that enough. You just want to get involved. You want to keep the ball. Well, as I say, keep the ball rolling. Like my name, last name Rawls. Keep the ball rolling, and just keep it going. Just keep it going. And when I go and I tell people about my circumstances, and I tell people about my life, it's so perplexing to people. My story and my experience becomes bigger than the actual gang stalking thing. They're just getting paid to do something, to agitate me. My experience and my story is 10 times bigger than that. And so they realize that even people who don't know anything about me, never heard of me, once I explain it to them, they're just like, wow, man, this is a big deal. This is something incredible. Like last night, I went with a friend of mine. Okay, we were hanging out in an area where I'm well known at, in Muskegon Heights. We went from there, we went down to an area of downtown. Now, we're downtown, and we're waiting for my friend, his son. We're waiting for the mother to come to pick the son up. And we're down there, we're hanging out. Now I'm there with him. I don't know anybody there. But I began to notice some of the people there were somewhat quasi-connected with the gang stalking stuff. But at the same time, they can tell there's something perplexing about me. And so they hear my story, and I tell them all about, how I did conspiracy research. By the time I get finished, it's so perplexing to them. They're 10 times more interested in that than anything else. So I realized that me being able to communicate my experience with the people that are supposed to be put around me for the gang stalking thing is really where it's at. The people hear my experience, and then they realize that, wow, I can learn something from this. There's something here for me. I'm connected to this. Because they're connected to me, they're connected to that energy. And so the people that are most connected to me are the most people who are going to be most connected to my experiences. And so sometimes it frightens people. Sometimes people will hear my stories and they'll just be like, man, that's... Very few people find it... Most of the people I come in contact with and I explain to them, they know there's something there. They're not really sure how to interpret it, but they know there's something there. Some people tend to love it. I mean, there's a few people, who will be very, very interested in it. And so I've learned to be able to manifest my way in and out of situations just by sharing my experience, right? And so start with that. Start with just waving at the cars with the headlights. If you can, stop and talk to them. I started off just telling people, like, hey, I'd go into a restaurant or something like that, and I'd have to tell the people, like, yeah, I'm on a political agitators list, and I did this, that. I just, I learned it's the way I convey my story, right? I let them know. I just tell them I'm famous. I went and did a bunch of interviews in Hollywood. I attracted the attention of the most powerful people in the world. I mean, that's exactly what happened. And so I tell them that, and they're just like, whoa, man, that's tripped out. That's a tripped out experience. And it doesn't matter where I go. I can go to a upscale area. I can go talk to people who are brain surgeons, lawyers, doctors, whoever. They're going to hear that, and they're just going to be like, wow. I can go over to, a really poor neighborhood and tell people my experience, areas where people don't have, areas where people, feel down and out and stuff like that. I can tell them my story, and they'll have the same reaction. It's like, wow, man, that's tripped out. And so I realized that my experience of my life through conspiracy research and the aftermath of it. Like right now, I'm living the aftermath of it, and it just so my experience is somehow it's taking me from group to people. I mean, there's women now. There's women. The women that I interact with now are way different. I mean, a lot of these chicks they look like they just walk out of Playboy magazine. The gang stalking people have blessed me. They hire women that are extremely beautiful, and I don't know what it's some sort of psychological thing where it's like I'm not supposed to have them, but they can look at me and smile. Like some of these women look at me and smile at me, and I start waving back to them and stuff like that. And but because of my size, some of them are like, oh, I'm supposed to watch this guy and agitate this guy. Is he dangerous or something? I let them know right away. I'm not, I'm not a violent person. I mean, anybody can get angry, but I'm not out here looking to I don't do that. I walk away from stuff. And so I start interacting with them, and they see that. And then if I can tell them, I say, yeah, I'm famous, and then so now their perception of me has changed. They know they get paid to do the gang stalking thing, but as soon as they see me, I'll even watch their faces. A lot of the women who are gang stalkers, when they see, like, before I come around, I can tell by the look on their face they're not very happy. And then when we come around each other, then they seem to be like, it seems to uplift them. They're like, that's that guy. That's the dude we got. That's that funny weird guy. And so it becomes a thing where these women are looking like these women they look like models, man, out of the Ukraine or Sweden or something like that. And I'm learning to interact with these people, the sophisticated types, classy type. And so I'm realizing that this experience I'm going through is teaching me how to interact with what I'm supposed to be seeing in my future. Okay, like I said, I'm the only person who will ever be gang stalking, and now I'm helping people to be, right now, somebody's listening to this, and they're eventually going to become the second person in the world to beat it. just based on my inspiration and my story. And there's going to be a third and fourth. So eventually I'm just going to be the first person to ever beat gang stalking. Depending on, somebody might email me right now and want to meet up tomorrow. Somebody might call me and want me to come to where they are. You know, but I'm learning that there's going to come a time in my life one day where I'm going to be having to speak to people who are lawyers, professors, and things like that. I'm going to have to speak to the top professional people. The people that I was against before, you know, before I talked all that stuff bad about the CIA and stuff like that, I mean, I may be having to help these people. It might be the director of the CIA. His son could be going through gang stalking. I might be called in to help him. I mean, even the former head of the Los Angeles FBI, Ted Gunderson, went through gang stalking. So, you know, the former head of the Los Angeles FBI can be gang stalked. Anybody can be gang stalked. So I'm learning to have to deal with people in the professional world. And it's not because I have some great skill. It's because of my experience and the skill that I applied to my experience. And so now I have a gift to offer people. People who have careers in the corporate world, they want to be able to make the right decisions. They feel if they make the right decision, they may be gang stalked. They're going to need somebody. They don't want to lose their job and go into hiding or have a nervous breakdown. They want to be able to get through their life. And so that's where I come in. And I'm going to say, listen, man, I've been through everything you've been through. I'm going to show you the ropes. I'm going to show you exactly what to do and how to get through this. And you're going to beat it no matter what, 110% to keep the ball rolling. See, that's where I'm coming from now. See what I mean? That's where I'm coming from. And because I haven't had a car in a few years. You know what I mean? I had to go out on foot and walk and learn. I mean, everything these people could use against me, they could use against me. And like I said, you know, I come from here. I'm psychologically and spiritually, I'm a very strong person. Much stronger than I even thought I was. I learned about strengths I had that I didn't know I had. And, you know, it's become a thing. Even the people who were the top gang stalker people, the older types who were behind the gang stalking. Now, beyond the gang stalking, you know, I know the secret societies still heavily monitor me and watch me. But I think even they're starting to see, Jameel doesn't have an interest in us anymore. His interest now is in his own experience of helping. So it's starting to change. The way I'm being perceived by these people is starting to change. But I know they still monitor me heavily. But within the gang stalking program, the people who run it in the area I'm in, even they're starting to lighten up to me. I know it's just a job for them. It's nothing personal. But I can see it on their face. Some of the people who are more tight, when they see me, they kind of loosen up now. They kind of smile a little bit, and I wave at them. I smile at them. I mean, I'm not, especially the older types and stuff like that. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny because if I go to the hood, they come to the hood sometimes, and they'll be like older white women, older white guys, and they're like rolling around the hood and stuff like. It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me. I'm just it's just amazing. It's like these people. It's just crazy. I can't believe my life it's just fascinating, you know, and so it's just amazing to me. And so the people in the regular world, there's me, and there's me and my experience, and wherever I go, that follows me. And so it's like that movie Poltergeist. You know, you ever seen the movie Poltergeist? That little girl like, they're back. They're back! They're back! That's how I feel. And sometimes I even forget what gang stalking is. I'll be hanging out somewhere. Like last night, I'm hanging out, and I'm with my friend, and we go over his cousin's house, and I don't know it's his cousin. And so we go in there, and they start wrestling, right, in the living room. And so I jump in, and the guy I was with, my friend, he's smaller than his cousin. And so I jump in, and you know, so I jump in the middle of it, and I break it up. Then everybody goes back, and why I did that, I don't know. But I start watching. Then later on at night, everybody's just looking at me, right? They don't know what to make of me, and they're thinking, you know, like who is this guy? You know, I mean, who is this guy? That we're being paid. We're supposed to watch him and stuff, and they didn't know how. They didn't even feel comfortable doing it, and so it was just. And so then I start talking to him and telling him my story. And by the end of the night, they're all just looking at each other like, this is crazy. And that's the effect I've learned to have on people. I've learned to have a strong effect on people, and it gets me to the point to where I can see how my future is unfolding, how it's manifesting. I can see my future coming, and I see myself being able to sit down with people and talk to people. And before, like last year, I had videos where I was talking bad about the police and stuff like that. Now it's becoming a different type of thing. To now where I see the police, it's not the same type of thing. I'm becoming more of like the poster child of not conspiracy research, but of the establishment. I don't even want to put it like that, because that's not how I truly feel about it. But I'm becoming more of a poster child of like the establishment and people who go up against the establishment. And at first it was very bitter. Now it's more like, hey, they're like, hey, there's a YouTube guy, you know what I mean? And so it's become a thing where it's not really, it's more fun. I enjoy it now. I actually enjoy it. I'm going to be honest with you. I enjoy the gang stalking. Like, if I go out right now and I'm not being followed, I'm probably going to be upset. Like, I'm going to come home like, where the hell were they? You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels. Like, it makes me feel like I look at it like those are my fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm famous. Those are my fans. You know, where the hell are my fans at? You know what I mean? And so I'm telling you, I'll be out there. I'll be out there waving with them and hanging out with them and stuff like that. And it's become so much inspiration to me, because I see girls, like, there was a young girl on YouTube, like, I mean, she looked like she was literally losing her mind. Like borderline suicide or something like that, because she was being gang stalked. And the gang stalking thing is you know, it's huge. And so, you know, I just feel like people can learn from my experience how I treat the gang stalking thing. You know, and it's like, if I can beat it, I know anybody else can beat it. No matter what. 110%, no matter what. And so, it's just incredible, man. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. I go out, and I'll have, you know, all these different people I interact with and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, I can see my life, man. I can see, like, one day, you know, maybe being able to write a book for people, putting out recordings for people to listen to help them. And you don't even have to know what gang stalking is. Just my experience of how I had to hide in my mother's house for a month. How I went through this, how I went through that. All the little stuff. That all has molded me to be the person I am now. And so, it's just like, you know, I can see that in the future I'm going to be interacting with a lot more people. I mean, I don't have a car. I live in my mother's house, but I'm using my experience. My experience is going to be able to take me all the way around the world. My experience of what happened in my life is going to be able to take me to Korea, to Russia, to England, to Latin America. My experience, when I learn from my experience and how I apply that experience, and how other people are going to be able to apply that experience to their life, that once I share it with them, that's going to be just as valuable as gold. See what I'm saying? It's going to be. There's people out there who need that experience, and there's going to be people out there, there's going to be companies out there that are going to say, wait a minute, I have an option. I don't have to put, you know, a gang stalking, if one of my employees, you know, is being gang stalked, I can hire this guy to make my employee feel comfortable, so my employee can do what they need to do and get through it and get the job done, and the company can stay afloat. If there's a magnificent professor at a school, and he's being gang stalked, if he learns what he needs to learn, he's going to still be able to teach his children. I mean, you know, the kids that go to the school. And so, it's going to be my experience of getting out there hands-on, teaching you how to wave at your gang stalkers, teaching you how to interact with them, teaching you how to go from one level of your experience of being gang stalked to a completely different level. And so that's what it's about. It's not about like just beating gang stalking and knocking gang stalking out. I never have to see it. It's your experience of it and how to get through that. And that's what I learned to do. I learned how to go step by step by step. I told myself back in my mind, I said, no matter what, we're gonna beat this, no matter what. I already knew I knew I had gang stalking beat when I first started experiencing it last year. I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something different going on in my life. And then in the wintertime, I started feeling differently. My emotions changed. My emotional state changed. And I started looking at the world differently. And then by the time I ended up going to Phoenix, and when I got back to Phoenix, everything had just completely changed in my life. The way I view things changed. You know, I went. It's incredible, man. I went from like going to bars and trying to hook up with chicks just to get laid to now I got these sophisticated model type looking chicks that I'm communicating with on a regular basis now. You know, and that's teaching me directly how to interact with the world I need to go to. This gang stalking thing has given me everything I need to go to where I need to go. And so it's actually been, I don't know what I would have did without it, to be honest with you. I don't know what I would have did without gang stalking. Had I not went through it, and faced that, I don't even know who I'd be today. So, I mean, to me, it's like the most incredible thing that ever happened to me. Whoever put the program together is a genius, to be honest with you.